Amrita, and today we are very fortunate to have with us our Preeti Vilasini Mataji to enlighten on the topic of Antya Leela from 7.146 onwards. Hare Krishna, Preeti Vilasini Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the session and giving your very valuable association, Mataji, and enlightening on the topic of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Thank you so much, Mataji. I now hand over the call to you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Shyamasupriya Mataji, for warmly welcoming everyone, and thanks to everyone for the very beautiful chanting. Hare Krishna. So we are reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is Antya Leela chapter 7. And our verse today is 146 onwards, and hopefully we'll finish the chapter. So it'll be a relatively short class. We'll finish before 1 hour. But this portion is also very interesting, like yesterday's class. So yesterday we had Adi Gadadhar Prabhu, and he was talking about the glories of Rukmini and Jagdan, and he was comparing Damodar Pandit and he was comparing Jagdananda Pandit, and he was talking about his qualities as well. So this class will also be on the same lines. Okay. So this is Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Leela 7.146. এই লক্ষ্য পান প্রভু কৈল রোষা ভাষা শুনি পণ্ডিতের চিত্তে উপজিল ত্রাসা এই this lakshya aim pana talking prabhu Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu kaila rosha bhasa made a semblance of anger. Shuni hearing Panditera Gadadhar Pandit chitte in the heart upajila arose trasa fear. So you see, it is written that it was rosa bhasa, meaning a semblance of anger. He was not really like angry in a way that he wanted to reject him, but it was a semblance of anger. Translation: for this purpose, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sometimes showed his apparent anger. Hearing of this anger inspired great fear in the heart of Gadadhar Pandit. 147. पूर्वे येन कृष्ण यदि परिहास कैला शोणी रुक्मिणी रमणे त्रास उपजीला. Previously in Krishna Leela, when Lord Krishna joked with Rukmini Devi, she took his words seriously and fear awoke within her mind. So this is very much the continuation of yesterday's class. We can start with the prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripa tamaham vande Shri Gurum Deenatarinam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shri Mate Radhanath Swamin Iti Namine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschayata Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So what we have done is we have just read two verses, verses 146 and 147. We'll discuss this in short, and then we will continue with the rest of the verses in this chapter. So we saw the translation of these two verses is that for this purpose, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sometimes showed his apparent anger. Hearing of this anger inspired great fear in the heart of Gadadhar Pandit. Previously in Krishna Leela, when Lord Krishna joked with Rukmini Devi, she took his words seriously and fear awoke within her mind. So these two verses, they talk about the mood of Sri Gadadhar Pandit, because the context is that we are discussing about the mood of Gadadhar Pandit, and a comparison of Gadadhar Pandit is made with Rukmini Devi. So Gadadhar Pandit was always very, very submissive towards Lord Chaitanya. And in yesterday's class, we did hear from Adi Gadadhar Prabhu that about the pastimes of Rukmini, and also he was making a comparison between the pastimes of Rukmini, what happened in the Bhagavatam, what is discussed in the Bhagavatam, and he made a comparison with Jagadananda Pandit, who was compared to Satyabhama. So, in the pastimes that we saw yesterday, we heard how Rukmini, she was very, very submissive, and once Krishna wanted to invoke loving anger in Rukmini Devi. So, what he did was he tried to joke with her. He tried to joke with her, trying to see if she can get angry at him. So at that time, Rukmini, she had never before heard such words. It was very unpleasant to her when she was hearing these things from Krishna. And she became very frightened. That was the first reaction that Rukmini showed. It was not anger that Krishna wanted her to show. Rather, Rukmini Devi, she became very, very frightened. And the Bhagavatam explains that a tremor arose in her heart, and in terrible anxiety, she began to cry. So this was the first reaction that Rukmini showed, and her face was downward, her voice was choked up, and she was filled with extreme sorrow. Her mind was overwhelmed with unhappiness, and she had this fear and grief. The bangle slipped from her hand, and when she was fanning Krishna, she dropped the fan and she fell down in bewilderment, and she fainted. The hairs on her face were scattered all over, and her body fell down like a plantain tree. So much description is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam about the initial or the immediate reaction of Rukmini Devi. So this was her mood. Mm. So, though Krishna was joking with her at that time because of the intense love she had for Krishna and the type of love that she had for Krishna, she had this very submissive kind of a love. It was unspotted love, it was very, very pure love, it was very submissive. And she, at that time, when Krishna was speaking like that, she could not understand the depth of Krishna's joking. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he talks about this kind of love in the commentaries. He says that in her, Krishna prema arose because of intense attraction, because of anuraga. It is a level of love. Because of anuraga, Krishna prema increased so much that such a devotee who is in shelter of that anuraga, a person who has undergone that emotion of anuraga, like Rukmini, they feel more and more humble and wretched at every moment. And they become overwhelmed by delusion, and they think that they are not worthy of Krishna, and therefore they have been rejected by him. So this is what happens when one is so involved in that mood of love for Krishna. They undergo this emotion called anuraga. They become more and more humble, and they get overwhelmed by delusion, and they think that they are going to be rejected by the Lord. So that is exactly the emotion that Rukmini was going through, and she fainted. This is just a continuation from yesterday's class. So after Rukmini fainted like that, undergoing that emotion of anurag, Krishna pacified her, and he tried to explain to her that he was just joking. He really didn't mean any of it. Like, he was telling her that he was not fit for her, and she should get married to some other man. And those words, actually, Rukmini, it really hurt Rukmini. She couldn't understand anything what Krishna was talking. And Rukmini was thinking in her heart, how is it that Krishna has become unhappy with my service as fanning? Because she was doing a very nice, pleasant service. What was she doing? She was just fanning the Lord. So she was thinking in her heart, how is it that Rukmini has become, I mean, how is it that Krishna has become unhappy with such a nice service as fanning? But he says that he's deriving pleasure when I give up these services and I speak angry words at him. So that was Krishna's desire, right? So Krishna was inciting Rukmini so that he could see the loving anger of Rukmini. And Rukmini was very confused. She was thinking, I was doing something so nice, I was doing something so pleasant, and something so it was a very positive interaction between husband and wife. And what sort of interest does Krishna have? He wants to get pleasure by seeing me angry and speaking unpleasant words to him. So she was really confused as to what Krishna really wanted. And then Krishna, in the very next verse in the Bhagavatam, he explains that actually householders, they derive great pleasure from joking like this with their beloved wives. And they like to incite loving anger in their wives. So this mood, this interest in Krishna to see her angry and speak harsh words, she just couldn't fathom it, because that was the kind of love that she had for Krishna. Whereas Satyabhama's love was very, very different. She and Krishna, both of them, they enjoyed such exchanges, and their love increased when they had such exchanges of loving anger. So even in today's world, when you see husband and wives, each one has a different relationship. Some wives are very submissive and they're very scared, uh, of fights, very, very scared of fights, and they often think, what will their husband think, or will my husband be upset? So some wives are like that. Though they may have their own strong personalities, still they don't like to have friction. They don't like to fight, and they don't see any pleasure in it. They think it's only going to weaken the relationship. Whereas some others, both husband and wife, they like to incite loving fights, and they enjoy it, and their bond increases after the fight. So everyone has a different relationship, even in this mundane world. And Krishna, he is Rasaraj. He enjoys various kinds of loving relationship with all his devotees. And the relationship with every devotee is very, very unique. It's not the same. No two devotees have the same ditto relationship with Krishna. Even among the gopis, we know each gopi has her own mood. We were discussing about this angry gopi by the name Shavya the other day, who was always angry with Krishna and who chastised Krishna. We know the mood of Lalita Sakhi, who's always very, very strong and who chastises Krishna. So there are some gopis like that, while others like Chandravali and others, they're very, very submissive. They don't like any friction. They want to make sure Krishna is happy. They want to do anything to make sure that everything is smooth. So each devotee has a unique relationship. And similarly, Satyabhama was in a relationship of controlling her husband, and Krishna enjoyed it. In one verse of the Bhagavatam, it is mentioned that Krishna behaved like a henpecked husband, though he was not really a henpecked husband, but he enjoyed behaving like that with Satyabhama. And with Rukmini, it was the other way around, because Rukmini never liked that. Even the smallest thing, Rukmini would be so fearful. What if I am separated from Krishna, or if Krishna rejects me, or what if Krishna feels bad about what I do? So she was very, very submissive, and that was her mood. This reminds me, in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, in book one, when we were discussing the story of Narada Muni visiting different devotees and trying to find out who is the greatest recipient of Lord Sri Krishna's mercy. Finally, he comes to Dwaraka to meet with Uddhava, because he's direct, but the Pandavas actually direct him to Uddhava, saying that Uddhava is such a good friend, a counsel, and like a brother to Krishna. So you should go and meet Uddhava. Uddhava is always with Krishna. In fact, he even goes to Krishna's room and he has this very personal relationship with Krishna. So Narada, he comes to Dwaraka. And there, when he comes to Dwaraka and he finally reaches the palace of Rukmini and Krishna, he finds that Krishna is really, really crying and weeping, and he's not gotten up that day, and he's not gone to the Sudharma assembly. And Ugrasena and everyone else in the assembly, when they see Narada Muni, they welcome him and they tell him that our dear Krishna hasn't even come to the assembly. We don't know what is wrong with him. We've not seen him since morning. And Narada, when he goes to the palace, he sees Uddhava is actually in the porch, in the balcony. He's sitting there and he's weeping. And Narada was very surprised and he was asking Uddhava, what happened? Why are you like this? And everyone was so morose. All the residents in Dwaraka, that is in the inner chambers, the queens and the mothers, everybody was very, very, very sad. Everyone was weeping, and Narada didn't understand anything. So when he asked them what happened, at that time he could understand from what they were talking that Krishna was weeping all night, and he was crying, he was very sorrowful, and it's so beautifully described in the Bhagavatam that his entire pillow was wet with tears. Because he was crying all night, his face was all red and puffy, his eyes were puffy, and he was so depressed. And at that time, everyone started talking about him. Everyone was talking about the reason. And at that time, Rukmini, she was very, very defensive about Krishna. So she was trying to defend Krishna in all respects, because the rest of them, Rohini, Balaram, everybody, they were actually accusing Krishna of leaving the Vrajavasis and coming for good, and he never went back to see them, and they were all talking. Even Uddhava was telling that I went to Dwaraka, I mean, I went to Vrindavan and I tried to pacify the gopis. Krishna left the gopis, and those people, they are weeping there. They were all talking about the Vrajavasis. But the only person at that time during the discussion, when Krishna was still sleeping and he had not yet woken up, the only person who was not rather talking about the Brajavasis and talking about the distress that they were undergoing, but talking about the distress that Krishna was undergoing, was Rukmini, even at that time. So Rukmini, she was the first one to defend Krishna in all respects, while the rest of them were accusing Krishna of leaving the Vrajavasis and letting them suffer. So Rukmini, at that time, she was explaining about the tender heart of Krishna. She was telling, I stay with him all night. I know the heart of my Lord. I know how tender his heart is. He's always crying and shouting the names of all the gopis, and he's suffering so much more separation from them. So you're all talking about the separation of everyone else, and you're accusing Krishna of being hard-hearted and he has left them, but none of you know what he's undergoing. Nobody is looking at what he's undergoing. He's got such a tender heart. All night he's shouting out the names of Radha and Lalita, and he's crying every night. And I feel so miserable to see him like that. So that was the mood of Rukmini. So she very well knows that Krishna, and she in fact admits, there, right there, she's admitting that Krishna actually, he loves the gopis much more than anyone else. Now imagine, Rukmini is the wife of Krishna. Okay, she's the wife of Krishna, and she's talking so nicely about the loving relationships between the gopis and Krishna. And she was so protective of her husband, so protective and supporting him in every way. But whereas when she made these statements, Satyabhama was so irritated. Satyabhama was so irritated, and she began to dismiss all the statements of Rukmini in jealous anger. She was like, what are you talking about, Rukmini? Just keep quiet. No, she really didn't like that. She felt that competitive jealousy and anger with the Vrajavasis, meaning the younger gopis of Vrindavan. So both of them, they have these different moods. But however, Krishna enjoys all these moods, and all of these moods, they make Krishna very, very happy, because Krishna is really fond of his devotees and his associates. He's really, really fond of them. So now let's see the comparison between Jagdananda Pandit and Gadadhar Pandit. Now, Gadadhar Pandit, actually, his identity was that he was Srimati Radharani. We know this Panchatattva, right? In the Panchatattva, who's Gadadhar Pandit? Gadadhar Pandit is Srimati Radharani. However, it is extremely interesting that this Gadadhar Pandit was in the mood of Rukmini. And what is the mood of Rukmini? Being always submissive and fearing separation, fearing disapproval from the Lord. So, in the same lines, Gadadhar Pandit always felt, he felt very, very submissive to the Lord, and he constantly feared separation and disapproval from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So anything that made Lord Mahaprabhu upset, meant a huge deal to him. So, in fact, Gadadhar Pandit, since childhood, he was a very good friend of Nimai Pandit. They both were schoolmates. They went to the same school. And even when they were young boys, Nimai Pandit would show his character to be a very, very aggressive and a genius. And he would get into a lot of arguments with Gadadhar Pandit. But Gadadhar Pandit was pretty much the opposite. He had a very neutral way of seeing things. He was very submissive towards Nimai Pandit. And Nimai Pandit had a very extreme attraction to Gadadhar Pandit. But Gadadhar Pandit was so shy, he would not even face Nimai Pandit directly. So since his early childhood, Gadadhar Pandit was so patient. He was very, very calm, very quiet, and he was fond of solitude. He was very renounced. He was a very sweet devotee. He was very surrendered to Krishna. But however, Nimai, who's Mahaprabhu, in his young days and in his youth days, he would like to argue with everyone. He would like to ask meaningless questions, and he would question them on logic and argue with them. And he would in fact pull Gadadhar Pandit into different kinds of fights and arguments. But however, even when they were young, Gadadhar Pandit was he was not really comfortable talking to Nimai like that, getting into these fights and logic and argument. He never enjoyed all that. But Nimai would constantly chide Gadadhar Pandit, and he would catch hold of Gadadhar's, hair and ask him, "Do you think you're a great Pandit? Now you answer all my questions. What is the symptom of a liberated soul?" And when Nimai would ask Gadadhar Pandit such questions, what is the symptom of a liberated soul? You're a great Pandit, right? Give the answers to these questions. So at that time, Gadadhar Pandit would try to give answers to Nimai in a very submissive mood from scriptures. And then when he heard all the answers of Gadadhar Pandit, immediately Nimai would reject all of that. He would say, "Oh, you don't know anything. Whatever answers you're giving is nonsense. Actually, the display of acute misery and suffering is the true symptom of a liberated soul." So, like this, Gadadhar Pandit would not understand what Nimai Pandit is talking, and he would try to tell him very nicely, actually, a liberated soul is not like that. He's a very serene person, he's a very satisfied person, and immediately Nimai Pandit would just dismiss all his logic and tell him, "You don't know anything, you're fit for nothing," and he would walk away. So, like this was the kind of relationship, even during young days, that Nimai and Gadadhar had, and they had different dispositions. They were not the same. Mahaprabhu was very assertive, especially with regards to logic and things of learning. And Gadadhar Pandit was very introverted, and he always kept the background. He never came to the forefront, or he never made heavy arguments, or he never tried to prove his point. So he was a very introvert Vaishnava by behavior, whereas Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Nimai Pandit, in his young days also, he would, kind of be very assertive and act like a great Pandit, until he met Ishvara Puri and his life transformed, or rather, he started exhibiting his. It is all Leela, of course. It's not that he was something different and he transformed for the good. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he just started showing symptoms of love of Krishna only after his meeting with Ishvara Puri. And Gadadhar Pandit was so happy that after Nimai Pandit returned after his meeting with Ishvara Puri, he had transformed so much. Like this, Gadadhar and Nimai from childhood, they were very, very close. And from the beginning days itself, Gadadhar Pandit had this kind of a submissive behavior towards Nimai. So whatever Nimai said, he was very, very submissive and very loving towards Nimai. So in Gaura Leela, Krishna and Radha, they actually appear as Gauranga Mahaprabhu and Gadadhar Pandit. So according to the Panchatattva also, we have seen Gadadhar Pandit and Srimati Radharani are the same. Although Gadadhar Pandit is Srimati Radharani and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna, Swayam Bhagavan, when both of them appear in Gaura Leela, they show some differences in the mood. Srila Prabhupada's godbrother, Sridhar Maharaj, he gives this example to illustrate this. So, in a very traditional society, when husband and wife they are worshipping the deity together, they remain as husband and wife. It's not that their relationship suddenly changes in front of the deity. They remain as husband and wife, but somehow they put aside their conjugal relationship under the vow of service to the deity. So when husband and wife are serving the deity, in front of the deity, it's not that they are exhibiting their conjugal affection. They don't do that. they have this very formal behavior in front of the deity. So similarly, under the influence of this particular Leela, Gaura Leela, the conjugal relationship of Radharani and Krishna was actually somewhat unmanifest. Instead of the Madhurya sweetness of Radha and Krishna's Vraja in Gaura Leela, you see Gaur and Gadadhar, their relationship was characterized by Audharya or magnanimity. Okay, so that is one of the reasons or one of the ways to understand why Gadadhar Pandit was having this a little bit, you can say in one sense, a formal relationship, a submissive behavior in front of Nimai Pandit or Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And that's the reason we find him so magnanimous and kind hearted. And he was just like a shadow to Mahaprabhu. So, whatever Mahaprabhu did, he just followed Mahaprabhu like a shadow. And the other thing is exactly like what Adi Gadadhar Prabhu was also mentioning yesterday, because Gadadhar Pandit is fully Srimati Radharani. Other moods of the goddesses of fortune also find some expression in him. We know that Radharani is the fountainhead, and from her, so many other goddesses of fortunes emanate. Now, the mood of all the other goddesses of fortune is also present in Srimati Radharani. Similarly, the moods of all the other Sakhis, wives of Krishna, like Rukmini, Lalita Sakhi, or Chandravali, all of them is also present in Gadadhar Pandit. Okay, so because he's the fountainhead. So Rukmini and Chandravali's dispositions, both these dispositions actually is present in Gadadhar Pandit in Puri, because Puri is very similar to Dwaraka. Meaning in terms of Aishwarya, in terms of the mood of Aishwarya, Puri and Dwaraka are very, very similar. In Dwaraka, the position of the right wing submissive gopi Chandravali is present in Rukmini, who gets the principal role there. And Gadadhar's character is also very introverted, unlike Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Radharani. So this is how it is being explained, that we do not find any assertiveness in Gadadhar Pandit's relationship with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, except very, very occasionally in very small ways, like sometimes in Mayapur in Navadvip, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was feeling the separation from Krishna. Once it so happened that after he met Ishwarapuri and he came and his behavior had completely changed, once Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was finding this intense separation from Krishna and he was searching for Krishna very desperately. So at that time, it was Gadadhar Pandit who came and who attempted to pacify him. Um, so he told him that Krishna is coming very soon. Don't worry, please calm down. Actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was trying to tear out his heart to see Krishna, and Gadadhar Pandit was calming him down like anything, just like how Lalita Sakhi would often give counsel to Radha and Krishna. So, in that mood, Gadadhar Pandit was trying to pacify him and take care of him. Such moods are also exhibited by Gadadhar Pandit, especially in Navadvip, not in Puri. In Puri, he has a very submissive mood, like Rukmini, very, very submissive, like how Rukmini is in Dwaraka. Similarly, Gadadhar Pandit was also behaving while he was in Puri. But in Navadvip, though in his childhood, he did have this submissive mood all the time and he kept a respectful behavior with Nimai Pandit. Still, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had come and after his change, after the change that he underwent after meeting Ishwara Puri, and he became he started showing this love for Krishna, and he would search for Krishna in his heart. At that time, Gadadhar Pandit would come and pacify him in the mood of Lalita Devi or in the mood of Radharani. So he would show such moods also. But even at that time, he would never get angry with Mahaprabhu, or he would never control Mahaprabhu, though he would pacify Mahaprabhu and calm him down and tell him Krishna will come, Krishna will come, calm down. He would never do it in an assertive way, even at that time. So his nature was very, very gentle. Even at that time, he would tell it in a very, very nice way. So um, when Nimai or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Puri from Navadvip, uh, Gadadhar Pandit also he went to Jagannath Puri, and he took a vow never to leave Jagannath Puri. He had taken Kshetra Sannyas. So he had taken a vow that he would never ever leave Jagannath Puri, leave Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and go. But when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left Puri to go to Vrindavan, at that time Gadadhar Pandit was ready to follow him, forsaking his vow. So he decided to throw his vow because he had taken a vow not to leave Jagannath Puri and take Kshetra Sannyas. But when he heard that his dear Lord is going to Vrindavan, at that time Gadadhar Pandit was so ready. If you read the Madhya Leela, you can see that when he was trying to go to Vrindavan, Gadadhar Pandit wanted to leave everything and just go with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But however, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not allow him to leave Puri, telling him that you have taken a vow, so there is no way you're going to break your vow, and I will go by myself. And even later, there are other devotees like Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and so many others who went to Vrindavan at different times. From Jagannath Puri, they left, they left Jagannath Puri and they left other places and they went to Vrindavan. Even at that time, Gadadhar Pandit did not go to Vrindavan because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not allow him to leave Jagannath Puri at any point in time. So he was always in Jagannath Puri and he served, even when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not there, he served Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the mode of separation. So this was the mood of Gadadhar Pandit, and Gadadhar Pandit is, it's not that he's only Rukmini and he's not Radha, but he is Radha who can accommodate the mood of Rukmini. He can accommodate the mood of Lalita Sakhi. And in fact, in Gaur Ganavadesh Deepika, we find that Gadadhar is considered as an incarnation of both Radharani and Lalita Devi. So you see, both these are present in Gadadhar Pandit. Why? Because Gadadhar Pandit is the fountainhead of Shakti Tattva when it comes to Chaitanya Leela. So he can accommodate the mood of everybody else. And sometimes he takes the mood of Lalita, like how we saw when he was in Navadvip. He was trying to pacify Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the mode of Lalita. Sometimes he would take on the mode of Radha. And mostly in Jagannath Puri, he took on the mode of Rukmini, who was the primary consort of the Lord in Dwaraka. Okay, so this is the mood of Gadadhar Pandit. And Gadadhar Pandit was very, very different from Jagdananda Pandit, who was very much like Satyabhama. And we know many stories of Jagdananda Pandit also. Like yesterday, Prabhu was discussing the story of how Jagdananda Pandit wanted to give the Lord some scented oil from Navadvip, and the Lord wouldn't accept it. So he got so angry that he broke the pot of oil and he began to fast for almost 3 days until Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, pacified him, and then he accepted the food, he accepted the prasad from Jagdananda Pandit, and then he made Jagdananda Pandit also eat. So there is also another incident with Jagdananda Pandit and his relationship with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jagdananda Pandit, he once wanted to make a nice bed for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in those days, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was in Puri, because he was a sannyasi, he would just sleep on banana barks. That was really hard. That was the bed that he was using, and that would scratch the tender body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Jagdananda Pandit, he would feel miserable when he would see that Mahaprabhu was suffering like this bodily. So what he did was he got some very nice soft cotton and he got a saffron colored cloth and he stitched a bed and a pillow, and he wanted Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to sleep on that bed and pillow. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being a sannyasi, he rejected that idea and he said, there is no way I'm going to accept this. There is no way I can do this. I will be setting a wrong example. People will think that this is a fake sannyasi and he's a womanizer if I keep doing all these things. And Jagdananda Pandit was so upset. He was so upset, and he had this again loving fight with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And eventually, of course, the devotees, they made a soft bed with banana leaves for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, this is okay, I will accept this, but I cannot accept soft cotton bed and cushions and all that. And of course, Jagdananda Pandit was very, very upset with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he took permission from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he went to Vrindavan on a yatra. Though Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't want him to go, but still he was so angry. He just took permission and he said, no, I want a break. And he went to Vrindavan. So their moods are very, very different. And there are different stories of Jagdananda Pandit and his relationship with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now we'll move on to the next part of the discussion, which is what happened to Vallabha Bhatta. Because we see that in this chapter, the main discussion was about Vallabha Bhatta and his pride and how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ignored him and crushed his pride. And in between, we are seeing the stories of Gadadhar Pandit, and we are seeing how Gadadhar Pandit was dealing with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that is actually the flow of this chapter. So now coming back to Vallabha Bhatta's story. Okay, so this Vallabha Bhatta, who was afflicted by pride and he was disregarded by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what he started doing is he started associating very, very closely with Gadadhar Pandit. Okay, so now we are trying to connect the why we are talking so much about Gadadhar Pandit in the past 2-3 days. So now this Vallabha Bhatta, he started closely associating with our Gadadhar Pandit, and Mahaprabhu did not like it. Okay, so Mahaprabhu did not like this close association between Vallabha Bhatta and Gadadhar Pandit, and just like how he was ignoring Vallabha Bhatta, similarly Mahaprabhu started showing some sort of a coolness or some sort of a distance from Gadadhar Pandit also. Now, we have seen the mood of Gadadhar Pandit all this while, how submissive he is and how he doesn't like friction and he doesn't want to be rejected by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So now that Vallabha Bhatta started doing all this, a fear arose in Gadadhar Pandit's heart, just like how a fear arose in Rukmini Devi's heart, and we saw all the reaction of Rukmini and Anurag. Similarly, a very, very strong fear arose in Gadadhar Pandit's heart because he was so scared that now he's going to be rejected by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he's associating closely with Vallabha Bhatta. So let's continue from verse 148. I'm not going to share the screen, but just listen to me. Okay, this is verse 148. Vallabha Bhatte Rahaya Vatsalya Upasan Bhala Gopal Mantri Teno Karena Sevan. So as Vallabha Bhatta was taking more and more association from Gadadhar Pandit, what happened? This word says Vallabha Bhatta was accustomed to worshipping the Lord as child Krishna, Gopal, Bal Gopal. Therefore, he had been initiated into the Bal Gopal mantra and he was worshipping the Lord. This is what Vallabha Bhatta was doing at that time. But then, verse 149 says, Panditera sanetara mana phiri ghela kishora gopala upasanaya manadila. In the association of Gadadhar Pandit, his mind was converted and he dedicated his mind to worshipping Kishore Gopal, Krishna, as a young boy. So Vallabha Bhatta, as we all know, is a very important acharya in the Rudra Sampradaya, which is known for Pushti Marg worship of Bal Gopal. Bal Gopal is the worshipable Lord, and they all worship Krishna as a young baby. That is the mood of worship of Vallabha Bhatta. But however, in the association of Gadadhar Pandit, who's Gadadhar Pandit? He's Srimati Radharani himself and the fountainhead of the entire Shakti Tattva. And we saw how Gadadhar Pandit embodies the emotion of all the other Sakhis and the Gopis and the wives of Krishna. So in the very strong association of Gadadhar Pandit, our Vallabha Bhatta's heart was transformed and he started getting influenced by the association of Gadadhar Pandit and he developed a taste for worshipping Kishore Gopal or Kishore Krishna. Kishore Krishna is the youth Krishna, the Shyamasundar Krishna, the Krishna who has entered the Kaishora age. And so much so that Vallabha Bhatta had developed so much taste for worshipping Kishore Krishna that he wanted to be initiated by Gadadhar Pandit. So he wanted to be initiated by Gadadhar Pandit. He went and asked Gadadhar Pandit to initiate him in Kishore Krishna's mantra. But Gadadhar Pandit was extremely scared. He refused and he told that it's impossible for me to act as a spiritual master. I cannot give you any Diksha mantra. And he said, I'm completely dependent. I'm completely dependent on Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. For the submissive nature that Gadadhar Pandit had, he also could understand that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was avoiding him, and he was very, very submissive. He did not want these friction and these kind of relationships. So he was telling Vallabha Bhatta very nicely that I am not independent, I cannot initiate anyone, and I'm completely dependent on Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I will not do anything without the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then he told Vallabha Bhatta in a very nice way that actually the truth is that Vallabha Bhatta, your coming to me regularly is not at all appreciated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And because of that, sometimes he chastises me or sometimes he doesn't speak to me at all. So he revealed what was exactly happening. Now, why was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu doing this? The reason is because pride is what Krishna cannot tolerate. Uh, if Krishna senses pride in his devotee, he goes to any extent to make sure that the devotee is corrected and is brought back to the right path. So, all this was a testing phase for Vallabha Bhatta. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was showing his assertiveness so that Vallabha Bhatta could eventually get corrected, so that Vallabha Bhatta's heart could change for good. So some days passed, and finally, with Vallabha Bhatta's Vallabha Bhatta was slowly changing, and over a period of time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was finally pleased with Vallabha Bhatta, and at one point in time, when Vallabha Bhatta sent an invitation to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord accepted Vallabha Bhatta's invitation and he sent Swarup Damodar, Jagdananda Pandit, and Govinda to go and call for Gadadhar Pandit. So all these days he was ignoring Gadadhar Pandit, and finally he sent all these devotees to go and call for Gadadhar Pandit. And these three devotees, they came and they gave the good news to Gadadhar Pandit that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants to see you. And finally, both Vallabha Bhatta and Gadadhar Pandit were feeling such a great relief. And on the way, when Gadadhar Pandit was going with Swarup Damodar, Swarup Damodar was asking Gadadhar Pandit, uh, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just wanted to test you, and that is the reason why he was neglecting you. But then, why is it that you did not retaliate by reproaching Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Why do you always fearfully tolerate all his criticisms? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu criticizes and he avoids you, and still you're tolerating everything. Why can't you ask back? Why don't you retaliate? So, this is what Swarup Damodar was asking, and Swarup Damodar is Lalita Sakhi. So, he asks this question, and the answer of our Gadadhar Pandit was this. He said, Pandita kahena Prabhu Swatantra Sarvagnya Shiromani Tan rasane hata kari bhala nahi mani. He said, Gadadhar Pandit said, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is completely independent. He is the topmost omniscient personality. It would not look well for me to talk to him as if I was his equal. I can tolerate whatever he says, bearing it upon my head. He will automatically be merciful to me after considering my faults and attributes. It's a very important point. Very, very important point that Gadadhar Pandit was making. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Swarat. He's completely independent. Bhagavatam starts with this verse that the Lord is Swarat. He's the independent Lord. That's how Bhagavatam even starts. Janmadhyasya yatonvayat itaratas charteshva abhijna Swarat. He's independent. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is independent and he knows everything. He knows the heart of everyone. How will it be if I go and talk to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu like as if I am his equal? Whatever Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants to do with me, I'm ready to tolerate it. I will take it upon my head. Why? Because I know ultimately Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to be merciful to me. I might have a million faults. I might be, I might not be the perfect person, but I know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will accept me at some point in time. And this is actually the nature of the Lord. A devotee may not be perfect. A devotee is not perfect. 99.9% of the time, nobody is perfect. We are all not perfect people. We are not perfect devotees. We are not perfect in any way. But whatever a devotee may be, ultimately the Lord has to accept the devotee because we belong to Him. So, whoever we may be, whatever we may be, whatever hopeless condition we may be, ultimately Krishna's Krishna's duty actually is to actually accept us. He's bound to accept us because we belong to him. If a child, the child belongs to the parent, the child may do 100 wrong things. The child may not be the perfect child, but still the mother or the father will never give up on the child at any point in time. So similarly, Gadadhar Pandit is saying, not that Gadadhar Pandit was imperfect, not like that. But Gadadhar Pandit was actually glorifying the Lord and his merciful nature. He says, yes, I was being, kept at a distance for some time, but the Lord knows my heart. And the Lord will never give up on his devotee. That is the eternal promise that he has made. So whatever we may be, whatever we may do, the Lord will chase us and bring us back. So that's what Gadadhar Pandit explained. That is the nature of the Lord. He will ultimately accept me in spite of all my faults and attributes. He's the most merciful. So there was another verse in the fourth chapter of the Antalila, very beautiful verse that talks about the glory of the Lord and his devotee. The verse is like this. Sei bhakta dhanya ye na chade prabhura charan. Sei prabhu dhanya ye na chade nija jan. Glorious is the devotee who does not give up the shelter of his Lord, and glorious is that Lord who does not abandon his servant. This is Chaitanya Charitamrita Ante Leela 446. It's a very, very important verse. Uh, a devotee, a true devotee, never gives up the shelter of the Lord, and really, the Lord will never abandon his servant. Whatever may happen, it may take few births, it may take few hours, it may take a few days, it may take a few years, but the Lord will always accept his devotee. We have seen the cases of crushing Indra's pride. We have seen the case of crushing Brahma's pride. These are all great devotees. They are great. They are in very great positions. And the other day we were listening to Kirtana Sundari Mataji's class, and she was talking about how we are nothing when compared to Indra. Indra is actually such a great devotee of the Lord, and who are we in front of him? Similarly, we are nothing in front of Brahma. Brahma was born from the Lord's navel, and he was directly born from the Lord. They are so important, such important personalities, so close to the Lord. When they were proud, also the Lord did show some corrective measures. He ignored them, or he corrected them, or he taught them a lesson. He did everything, but ultimately, what did he do? He accepted them. So once the devotee felt remorseful for whatever mistake they had done and learned their lesson, the Lord immediately accepted them. So Gadadhar Pandit, he explained this to Swarup Damodar, and Gadadhar Pandit, he goes to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, falls down at the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he started crying because of all the separation that he felt from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the Lord, he was smiling, and he embraced Gadadhar Pandit, and he began to speak to Gadadhar Pandit so that everyone else in the audience could hear what he was saying. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he told Gadadhar Pandit in front of everyone else, Ami chalayun toma tumi na chaliya, krode kichu na kahila, sakala sahila. I wanted to agitate you, the Lord said, but you did not become agitated. Indeed, you could not say anything in anger. Instead, you tolerated everything. Your mind was not disturbed by my tricks. Rather, you stayed fixed in your simplicity. In this way, you have purchased me. पंडितेरा भाव मुद्रा कहन नयाया गदाधर प्राणनाथ नाम होइलाया. No one can describe the characteristics and ecstatic love of Gadadhar Pandit. Therefore, another name of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Gadadhara Prananatha, the life and soul of Gadadhar Pandit. So it's such a beautiful relationship between Gadadhar Pandit and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very impressed, very, very impressed with Gadadhar Pandit's tolerance. And this is exactly how even Rukmini was, right? She was just, Krishna was trying to incite her anger, but Rukmini did not say anything, rather, she fainted. So her mind was not disturbed by the tricks. The same verse is here. It says, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Gadadhar Pandit, uh, see, I wanted to agitate you, but you did not become agitated. Indeed, you could not say anything in anger. Instead, you tolerated everything. Your mind was not disturbed by my tricks. Rather, you stayed fixed in your simplicity. In this way, you have purchased me. So each devotee, as I mentioned, has a very unique relationship with the Lord. And the Lord appreciates the mood of the devotee. The Lord knows the heart of the devotee. So therefore, he told Gadadhar Pandit, you have simply purchased me. You have simply purchased me by your tolerance. You tolerated everything, and I'm sold to you. So like this, the Lord, he's known as Gadadhar Prananath. That is one of the names of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he talks about this Gadadhar Prananath, the life of Gadadhar. What is it? Gadadhar is among the chief and the most intimate devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he is the fountainhead of the entire Shakti Tattva, and thus he is present equally in Mahaprabhu's Leelas in Navadvip and in Nilachal. His childhood home was in Navadvip. Later, when he took sannyas, he went to live in Jagannath Puri in a garden or tota by the seashore. Pure devotees who wish to enter the Madhurya Rasa of worship to Radha and Govinda take shelter of Gadadhar Pandit and are known as Gauranga Mahaprabhu's intimate devotees. Those devotees who are not so inclined to take shelter of Nityananda Prabhu and engage in pure devotional service in his mood, some of Mahaprabhu's devotees, such as Narahari, were followers of Gadadhar Pandit Goswami. They took refuge in him because they knew him to be his dearest associate and thus worthy of their service. Some devotees therefore call Chaitanya the life of Nityananda, while others call him the life of Gadadhar. So these are some comments from Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati on this particular phrase, the life of Gadadhar. Why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is called as the life of Gadadhar, Gadadhar Prananath, and how there are some devotees who have taken shelter of Nityananda Prabhu and hence become dear to Lord Chaitanya, while there are some other devotees who have taken shelter of Gadadhar Pandit because Gadadhar Pandit himself is the fountainhead of the Shakti Tattva and he's able to take those devotees to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So no one can really understand the merciful nature of this Gadadhar Pandit, who's so simple-hearted, who's so submissive, and who can melt the heart of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that's why sometimes even the Lord is not only known as Gadadhar Prananath, he's also called as Gadair Gauranga, the Lord of Gauranga. The Lord Gauranga of Gadadhar Pandit. That is another name of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gadair Gauranga. So it is very, very hard to understand these various pastimes that are discussed in this chapter about Vallabha Bhatta and about the relationship with Gadadhar Pandit, because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes are like the Ganges, just like how the Ganges has hundreds and thousands of branches. Similarly, the Lord's pastimes are very, very deep and they have so many great devotees, and each of these devotees have steady love for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this chapter, we saw how Vallabha Bhatta was purified by getting cleansed of the mud of false pride. And the Lord also in this chapter, he instructed everyone else through the example of Vallabha Bhatta. Actually, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very, very merciful towards everyone. However, sometimes, like we saw in this chapter, he shows external negligence towards some of his devotees. But however, we should understand Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's heart is extremely deep, and we should not get too preoccupied with the external feature. Hmm? we should understand that Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his pastimes are very, very deep. Until one has very firm devotion to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it is very difficult to understand the external behavior of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with some devotees. So finally, Vallabha Bhatta, his heart was completely transformed and he was accepted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Vallabha Bhatta then took permission from Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for his desire to be initiated by Gadadhar Pandit, and his desire was also fulfilled by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, like this, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he tries to conclude this chapter by saying, I have thus explained the Lord's meeting with Vallabha Bhatta, and by hearing of this incident, one can achieve the treasure of love of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita following in their footsteps. So he says the conclusion verse. This is the standard verse that he always narrates while ending a chapter. He talks of this verse and then he ends this chapter. But after hearing this entire pastime with Vallabha Bhatta and his apparent negligence of Gadadhar Pandit for some time, there are some lessons that we all should always remember. First and foremost thing is that sometimes the Lord may externally show such negligence, but that is not the real nature of the Lord. The Lord is very, very merciful, and He has shown that very clearly in this chapter. He accepted Vallabha Bhatta and He embraced Gadadhar Pandit, and both of them are very close associates of the Lord. So, this shows a very important point about judging devotees. Externally, the Lord may appear to be neglecting a devotee. However, one must not jump into any conclusions about that devotee, because internally the Lord is always affectionate towards his devotee, whoever they may be. He may be dealing with a devotee in a particular way, but why is he dealing with a devotee in that particular way? He's dealing in that particular way for the benefit of that devotee. So he could be purifying the devotee or showing the devotee's wonderful qualities. Like in the pastime of Gadadhar Pandit, it was not that Gadadhar Pandit was getting purified through this process. No, what was the Lord trying to show? The Lord was trying to show the beautiful qualities of Gadadhar Pandit. If the Lord did not perform this pastime, no one would know the beautiful, tolerant qualities of Gadadhar Pandit. If the Lord did not perform these pastimes with Vallabha Bhatta, Vallabha Bhatta's heart would not be purified. Even Vallabha Bhatta had wonderful qualities. These qualities would not have come through if the Lord did not perform these pastimes. So he could either be purifying the devotee or he could be showing the devotee's wonderful qualities. So therefore, it is very important and instructive to everyone not to judge anyone externally, because we could misjudge the Lord's attitude towards that devotee and we will fall down. So this is the most important lesson from this entire section. And that is the reason why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed these leelas and dealt with people in different ways. So with that, we can end today's session. And if there are any questions, comments, or realizations, please feel free to share. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, so glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you. Such a beautiful class, and quite a lot of things, I got it from your class. Like, I was also thinking that how Srimati Radharani is Gadadhar Pandit herself, and her mood is different from that of Chandravali. And she, came as Satyabhama, but not as Rukmani, and then how Gadadhar Pandit is compared as Rukmani. So you answered all that. So it was such a beautiful class. And also the great lesson that yes, we don't have to come on to any conclusion, not to judge anybody. That's super good. That's how at least not just by listening, but trying to imbibe also. We can practice, especially me myself. And last thing that yes, Gadadhara Prananath, Jaya Jaya Sachinanda Jaya Gaurahari, Gadadhara Prananath Nadia Vihari. So beautiful. Thank you. And Gadai Gauranga, yes, it's such a beautiful name. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much for transporting us to Navadvip Dham. Hare Krishna.
You've been a great inspiration, Mataji. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danut Pranam to all. I felt like I also in that assembly, and I felt also the Mahaprabhu is showering mercy of love on me, all of you also. I'm very thrilled to see all this pastime here, all these pastimes. So wonderful. These pastimes are very wonderful. Hari Bol.
Yes, Prabhu.
Mahaprabhu is
Thank you so
dancing.
much, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very beautiful comments.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Bol, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble
Radha Mataji.
Thank you for the wonderful, and thank you for reminding about that verse. Even when I read through it, I really like that when the sincere devotee never leaves the Lord, and Lord never leaves that devotee. That is so wonderful. The Bengali of it is so relishable, and thank you for reminding that. And the entire katha was so beautiful and sweet, like Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yes, so thank you, Mataji. Thank you for the wonderful class. Very grateful. Dandavad Pranam, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Anuradha Mataji, for your very valuable association on the call. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Such a beautiful class and so many points you have mentioned in this Mataji. Like so many things that we can follow, and I know like all the things we might not be able to follow because they are at such a high level, but to get an inspiration of at least how we can trust the Lord, and just like we are the dolls in the Lord's hand and let him play as he wants, like that mood or that bhav which is there. I know it is very hard to obtain, at least for me, but then to start somewhere, this is a very nice beginning, Mataji.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Very true, Sita Priti Mataji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Mataji and Ram. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Mataji, I'm from India.
Mm.
In India, tomorrow is the day Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took the sannyas.
Mm.
So, Mataji, what special I can do? You're such a nice devotee. Please tell me some tips. What can I do for the Mahaprabhu and Nityanand Prabhu tomorrow? Something special that I can do for them. Can you please suggest me something?
What can you do? I don't know what your interest is. If you want, you can cook something nice. Mahaprabhu likes a lot of Bengali dishes. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is mentioned he's very fond of shukta. It's a vegetable preparation. And if you read the pages of Chaitanya Charitamrita, you'll find many more dishes that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu really relished. So you can probably make an offering. Yeah, I think the Lord is very pleased with bhoga offerings. So that is what I know. So if you can make some offering to the Lord, that will be nice. Yeah. And of course, it is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so he's very pleased with Sankirtan movement. So maybe you distribute a book, Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, or even Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. The Lord is very pleased. Gaurnatai, they are very pleased with Sankirtan, with propagating the glories of the holy names, or with book distribution. Yeah. And if you have personal Gaurnatai deities, you can feed them with something they like.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Thank you so much. Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Preeti Vilasni Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much for such a beautiful class. So many pastimes of Gadadhar Pandit and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are described. You have described, shared so many of those pastimes, especially their youth pastimes. So it's very nice to see the mood of Gadadhar Pandit, and how Nimai Pandit is always coming and troubling him with all these questions. So very nice. Also, all the pastimes on Rukmini Devi and how their different moods and taking us back to Brihad Bhagavatamrita also. Wonderful, Mataji. Thank you so much for your time, for your class and your association. Hare Krishna. No questions, Mataji. Yes, definitely have to work on the pride aspect.
Thank you, Indu Mataji. Thank you so much for summarizing everything.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hari Bol, Shamagori.
Very nice pastimes. We love to hear from you,
Oh,
Keep on going. Missing your breath, Bhagavatamrita Mataji.
thank you, Shamagori Mataji. So nice to hear your voice.
Hare Krishna, Preeti Vilasni Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Very beautiful class, Mataji. Thank you so much. And when you are sharing Nimai's pastimes with Gadadhar, actually we are doing the same thing for Damodar now. We are doing Aurangabad Guru Maharaj book for kids in Damodar. Monday I was explaining the same thing, how Nimai was catching Gadadhar and asking what is the meaning of liberation, and then he answers something, and then Nimai says, "Oh, this is not the answer. What do you know that?" And he will tell the right answer, and he will say, "Okay, thank you," like that. He was like, like so much of humble, and whatever Nimai says, he would accept it. He would never say anything. It was so nice, Mataji. When you are explaining, I could remember the part so easily. I wish that you would have explained it, Mataji. It will be more nice. Kids would enjoy it. Thank you, Mataji. Very beautiful class. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Vanita Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Actually, you must have done a much better job explaining it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Very beautiful class. And also, I really like the point that you were saying about Krishna dealing with his devotees in a different way. Maybe it looks outside that, why that Krishna is punishing that person. Maybe we misunderstand that maybe that person is sinful. Maybe that is why, he's going through all of this. But we don't know exactly what is Krishna wanted. Maybe Krishna wanted to show a special mercy and taking off everything, and making them closer to Krishna. Or, it's when you're talking that I really able to connect, Mataji. It's so heart touching and so true, Mataji. We cannot judge anybody and anybody's relationship with God. We should not interfere in that. And so nicely explained, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Very beautiful.
Thank you, Vinita Mataji. Thank you so much for that. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranams, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Mataji, beautiful class. So many things that you brought about in terms of contrast, as everybody mentioned, how Gadadhar Pandit's mood was with, as in he is Radharani and he is the fountainhead of all qualities, and it's natural for him to get the quality of Rukmani too, which was very nice to know. And I mean, I definitely like the last point that you talked about, which is the crux of this chapter, how pride brings you down, and it actually makes you. I mean, it puts you into illusion and makes you do a lot of other apparats, as Kirtida Mataji also mentioned, where you try to criticize, find fault, and that way you're completely illusioned and you don't even know what you're doing. So it puts you through that mode, and after all this you try to even you may go to the extent of even misjudging devotees or misjudging Lord for that matter. But as you absolutely mentioned, Gadadhar Pandit's role here is to show us tolerance and how tolerant you have to be, because at the end of the day, he had firm faith on the Lord that whatever Lord does is for our benefit, and you may not know it right away, but you will know it eventually. So he came to know it eventually in the process because of his firm faith. So I feel that the more our faith is towards Lord Krishna, the more we will be able to see him clearly. So thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much for your wonderful class. And as always, I appreciate your lessons. And as much as possible, we will try to imbibe the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through the Antya Leela specifically. Hare Krishna.
Actually, though I was just talking, as you repeated it and then you said it in different words, it hit me harder. So this is something that I should learn and try to, have hope and learn that ultimately there is something better. So thank you for repeating that in a very nice way, Radhika Mataji. It was very, speaking is one thing, but when you hear from someone else, you feel like you should strongly imbibe it in your heart. So thank you for that.
My humble obeisances onto your lotus feet, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Lakshmi Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Such a wonderful class, Mataji. I have a question, Mataji. So this entire chapter we were discussing about Vallabha Bhatta and his pride. So it was a lesson for us. Now I have a question, Mataji, that we see even in devotees or people who all are very pious, who are very spiritual, they express their talent that is given by Krishna, by the mercy of Krishna. They have some talent or some good things and they express it outside and they get appreciated by pure devotees. And unknowingly, without knowing to them, in the back, the pride grows. So I was thinking like Vallabha is a very good devotee, Vaishnava, but still he had a pride, and this pride comes without knowing from the words when we talk. So I was just thinking, Mataji, like what is the source of this pride? And if we are getting into, if for example, we have this pride and it is actually we are unable to know. Like, sometimes we have a disease inside and we don't know, we may live with it until we go to a doctor, they find it and tell, until the symptoms come out. So what if this pride is within us also, but we don't know? So what is the source of this pride, Mataji? First question. And second, in our Bhagavad Gita class, we were reading yesterday that Krishna was telling to Arjun that lust is the main enemy which stops the urge of self-realization. So this pride also seems to be a thing which stops one from self-realization. So is the pride also coming under the category of lust, or how do we differentiate it, Mataji? Can you shed some light on it?
I'll tell you what I have understood. You can try to probably put the equation together, but let's see how I'm able to understand this. So when we talk about pride, what is pride? Pride means to think that I'm great, or I am independent, I'm capable, and basically I know it, and I can handle it, right? That is actually pride. Now, it all stems from our, that minute independence that we have received, as all jivas have some sort of a minute independence, and we choose to misuse our independence. So this whole thing of being in this material world is because of the misuse of the minute independence that we have. right? And we try to become the enjoyers, independent enjoyers from Krishna, meaning like we do not put Krishna in the center, rather we think we are independent and we are independent enjoyers. So that is how we are actually in the material world, and we are going in the cycle of birth and death again and again, because we want to enjoy independently. We want to be the independent controller, independent enjoyer. So all these are a symptom of pride only. Because we think we are great, because we think we are independent, we are capable. Um, this is the root of all pride. Where does it stem from? It stems from that slight, minute independence that we have, and we want to misuse that independence. It stems from there. So pride is something that is there in almost. It just pops up so easily. It is something that comes about so easily because it is there in that independence that we have. And how do we, and you said about the symptoms, like it's if I have those symptoms of pride and if I'm not expressing that pride, no no, how do I correct it? I think that's what you were asking. I still have that pride in me, but it is not clearly expressed. Then how do I remove the pride from the heart? So that is what I think you were asking. There are two things. One is definitely having association of people who can indicate that we have that pride, and that pride can lead to a fall down. And that is one way. The second thing is, in certain cases, if we are not in a position to be told by someone or even indirectly indicated by someone, sometimes it's very hard, even with our own friends. We don't tell them directly, you have become very proud, you better control your pride. We can never say that to anybody. It is not possible, because if we say that, it automatically means that I am proud and that's why I'm trying to see pride in others, right? So it's very difficult for even a good friend or an associate to tell that to someone. So what I have seen is indirectly trying to correct that person by inciting them to see good in others, telling them to see good in others. That can help. To have a friend who will always tell you nice things, that will certainly help with controlling pride. To understand the greatness of Krishna and understand how insignificant we are, that will help. The other thing is, if that person is really so big and so great, and he has developed pride, like in the case of Indra, or in the case of Brahma, or in the case of Vallabha Bhatta, who was a great scholar and who was a big acharya. So for these people, when pride had come, even the gopis, I mean, of course, the gopis, their pride itself was for Krishna. That is a different story. But generally, for devotees, let's just take the devotees. Krishna himself will put them in a situation where the correction is being made. So in the case of Vallabha Bhatta, we saw just by ignoring and rejecting, his pride was crushed. So like that, Krishna will put us in certain situations where our pride will be crushed. Krishna can do it very easily. I mean, like, we all develop pride at different stages in our life, but slightest thing, Krishna will put you in a situation where you realize you're nothing. This is a standard thing. Most book distributors will tell this. They will go out thinking that today I am going to, yesterday I had fantastic sales. I could sell so many books. So I'm the best bookseller. I'm going to go out today and I'm going to sell at least 10 Bhagavatam sets or 10 Bhagavad Gita sets. And they go out, and that day it so happens that not a single person picks any book. Why did that happen? That happened because the devotee developed some sort of a pride. Krishna will crush the pride right there, and there will be no success that day. And when the devotee repents and thinks that actually nothing is possible without Krishna's mercy, the next day again he's successful. So like this, everyone has small realizations, and Krishna reciprocates with everyone. Krishna himself corrects pride most of the time, but it's also good to have devotees who can speak to us in a way that they can humble us. Not that they are trying to find fault with you to humble you, but the other way of humbling, having an association of a person who can humble us, is to have the association of positive minded people, people who always glorify the Lord and talk about the Lord's qualities and put themselves as insignificant people. So when you take association of those people, we can learn from their example, and we can crush our own pride that we have. I hope this helped. I don't know if it was relevant or it helped you, Lakshmi Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, very much. It was so helpful. that getting a relative or a friend or somebody who can point us up right is very hard. It's, as you mentioned, nobody will be ready to tell that face to like in front of our face, because we don't do that naturally. So it is very hard to get someone who can point us. But the point that you said that Krishna can put us into a situation where we can, because he's inside us and he knows, like when we start the pride, he will correct us.
He will correct
Yes,
us.
Mother. So that is very helpful. So when situation happens in life that is for correction, we have to take it happily, and we have to know that Krishna is putting to correct us. Yes, Mataji. That was very helpful, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji, for such a wonderful class and for your reply. Jai Sachinandana. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Okay, Mataji. So then we can end the
Hare
call.
Krishna devotees. Hare Krishna Preeti Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji, for this wonderful class. I don't have any questions. It was so nice with the Q&A also, Mataji. So, dear devotees, if there are no more questions, so we can end the call. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhobhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Ramacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Chaitanya Chaitamrita ki jai. Her Grace Preeti Vilasini Mata ji ki jai. Thank you so much,
Jai.
Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Preeti. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.